Hey everyone, I'm here today taking a look at the Master of the Universe Chronicles movie Skeletor from Mattel. Based on the Jared Leto version of Skeletor, which was actually the highlight of the movie. I know a lot of people don't like Jared Leto, but he was great in the role. Now, I'll go over accessories first. He comes with the Havoc staff. This is the design from the film, which is very, very similar to the vintage style. It's just more kind of curved at the top there. It's got translucent blue plastic for the eyes. So quite nice looking, gives it kind of a magical effect that the eyes have a little bit of a translucent glow to them if the light hits them right. It also comes with 4 hands. So you get 2 gripping hands, 1 open spellcasting hand, and a fist hand. The peg is actually coming out of the wrist, whereas normally on figures like this, the peg comes out of the hand and goes into the wrist. But these are the other way around. And it plugs in quite tightly, quite solid. So you can get him in some really good two-handed poses, especially because the articulation is pretty good on this figure. So you can have him looking like he's about to blast someone in his Havoc staff in some action poses. And then he's got an open hand as well, just so you can get him in poses like this where he's like, ah, ha, ha. Or if he's, about to blast someone with an energy bolt of magic out of his hand, something like that. So quite a good selection of hands with the figure. Now for the articulation, and he's got a double joint on the neck, one where it connects to the head, one where it connects to the body, as well as an opening mouth like trap jaw. And I think this might be the first time I've ever had a Skeletor with an opening mouth, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the double neck joint there. The shoulders go up and around and out to the side and have a butterfly hinge that goes back a little bit like that. Not a massive amount, but enough. You can't get them to go forward any more than that though. It's got a joint in the middle of the torso there for a bit of an ab crunch, and then of course at the waist it's on a ball joint as well. So it's nice and fluid. It doesn't go forward much further than that though. But still, it's nice enough. I'm not actually somebody who really uses torso joints like that, like ab crunches on figures. It's an articulation point I just never really use. On the arms, they swivel there at the top of the bicep. You've got a double elbow joint, which is nice and smooth but tight. It's that elbow articulation which has kind of got these grooves in it here for whatever reason, which doesn't look great. It does make it look like he's got a robotic part in his arm there. It sort of breaks the sculpt up a bit. But I guess that's what makes it so smooth and tight without it feeling a bit ratchety or whatever. Then the wrists swivel round and are also on a bit of a pivot there, where they'll like pivot up and down, which is good on this hand, because then you can have him pointing his staff forward. It's hindered a bit by the gauntlets around his wrist that kind of stop it going as far as it probably could do if that wasn't there though. Then his legs go out to the side and forward and backwards, and they swivel a little bit. There's no kind of thigh cut, which is an articulation point that I never like. When there's a cut there, it just breaks the sculpt up. But the ball joint has enough room that you can still move the thighs around a little bit. As much as you'd need to. I mean, it'd be unnatural if the thigh sort of swiveled round any more than that anyway. So just having that little bit of a gap there where the ball joint goes into the hip so that it will swivel a little bit from side to side, I think is enough. Double knee joint, swivel at the boot cut, and then the feet are on a ball joint as well. It goes forward and backwards and around and swivels around a bit. So, it's a lot of articulation on this figure. There's also a drop here at the hip, so that helps the legs to go forward further than they would do as well. And the skirt doesn't really hinder it too much. It's quite soft anyway. If you want to get him in sitting poses, you can get the leg up to about there. I'll go over the sculpt now, but I just wanted to point out first how on the head sculpt, the teeth on the top row don't go round as far as they should do, which I noticed as soon as I got the figure that it looked a bit weird, but apparently that actually is a production issue. I think maybe the plastic didn't come out of the mould right, or the mould just wasn't sculpted, so the teeth went all the way around as far as they should, so it looks a bit weird. But there is a second run of this coming out, which is going to be fixed, and I'm not sure if it's going to get a single release, or if it's only going to be coming in that 2-pack with He-Man that's on Mattel Creations. So you might have to buy another He-Man as well as another Skeletor just to get one that's kind of corrected if it bothers you that much, which it kind of does with me, so I probably will get that, and I'm going to try and sell this one. The newer version is also going to have this whitewash toned down a bit as well, so he's a deeper blue, because he's got a very heavy whitewash on this, which makes him look a very paler blue. And I think the deeper blue does look nicer and is a bit more screen accurate as well. So if you haven't got this figure, you might be better off holding out on it. Apparently in America it's actually been selling out everywhere. In the UK, not so much. It's easier to find. You see the teeth on this side go around better than on that side, where it just kind of cuts up there a bit. But it's still a nice sculpt. And the texture on the fabric, especially on his hood and his cape. I'm not someone who really likes fabric capes that much. I prefer them to be sculpted like the rest of the figure. But I do still want the cape to be very flexible. And this is a lovely, soft, rubbery cape. This is what a cape should be made of on an action figure. You know, I'm not keen on fabric capes because it just looks like a cheap bit of fabric because it's not sculpted like the rest of the figure, so it sort of stands out to me and looks weird. But at the same time, if you're going to have a plastic sculpted cape, you don't want it to be rock solid so that you can't move it and then it just gets in the way. But man, I mean, this looks like it is real fabric. The sculpting is so good on it. Really lovely looking. It hasn't got the chest harness like your classic Skeletor. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they thought it just looked a bit too similar to He-Man's outfit, but I kind of miss it. But in general, this is a very classic Filmation vintage toy line looking Skeletor. Some great detailing to his muscles as well. There's a lot of kind of lines going down, which I think adds to the look that he's not quite human. You know, he's a Gar, which is a different species to just a regular humanoid looking Eternian. So it differentiates him a bit more, that he's not just got the blue skin, but it's just got more of a texture to his skin in general. All the purpling. There's quite a lot of highlights on the purple, like some lighter metallic purple going along there. There's a red jewel on his chest there as well. Great detailing around the belt. I think there's snakes either side of the belt there. And then like a ram's horn skull in the middle, it looks like. I find his feet look, I don't know, like slightly too big. It's almost like he's wearing Crocs or something. Like the way the feet connect to the thin ankles just looks slightly off to me. It's not like a major problem or anything, but just something that stands out to me. But there's extra detailing on the boots. They're not just plain purple like they were in Filmation or the vintage toy line. So they added a few details, which you want for a movie, even though it's nice to have them cartoon and toy accurate. You want a little bit more detailing. I mean, the costumes on the 87 movie, say what you will about that film, but they had some beautiful costumes with all the detail and design. It's nice seeing a little bit of that kind of thing incorporated onto these more classic looking designs for the characters. Now for comparison with some other versions of Skeletors from over the years that are in the 6-7 inch kind of collector scale. Most of these are actually going to be 7 inch. It's only Chronicles that have lowered the scale a bit to 6 inches, so this new one's going to be one of the smallest. But here he is next to the CGI Netflix Skeletor, which, though quite a different design, is also still very recognisably Skeletor. And I actually think it looks pretty cool, and that was a better series than you might imagine it being. I don't think many people gave it a go. It really wasn't too bad for what it was. And here's the Masterverse New Adventures Skeletor, which once again, quite a different design, but still recognisably Skeletor. I'm actually quite a big fan of New Adventures, but you can see the size difference here between Masterverse and Chronicles. Masterverse being the last collector line, which is kind of being phased out now to be replaced with Chronicles. And Masterverse actually did start out almost the same size as these new Chronicles figures, but it gradually kind of upped the scale by 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. So the figures were getting taller and taller, and now Mattel have really scaled it back and kind of shrunk them down again. So you can really see the size difference now between Masterverse in the end and Chronicles. And same with this 87 movie Skeletor from Masterverse. You know, it's quite a bit taller. This is probably the least recognisable Skeletor design, even though he's got the hood and the skull. Like, he hasn't got the blue skin and he's a lot more covered up. Even though there's some purple incorporated into his armour, he isn't quite as purple as your vintage-looking Skeletor. But it's a beautiful costume in general. All the costume designs for the 87 film are just really beautifully detailed. And here's the Filmation Skeletor from Classics, which is more in line with Chronicles height-wise. It's a bit beefier and bulkier, though. And this is like the definitive Skeletor for a lot of us. And I love how vibrant that figure looks as well and cartoony. And you see that that's the biggest inspiration for this new movie version. And the 2000X and Revelations Revolution Skeletor is pretty much the same design as well. Like, you might have a few extra details here and there on his armour, but it's the same basic design. Those ones weren't as heavily redesigned as New Adventures and the CGI show and the movie were. We haven't really had a 6 to 7 inch scale collector's 2000X Skeletor. I don't think we got one in Classics or in Masterverse. Mondo are going to be making one soon, so I guess I might get that depending on how expensive it is. But I also didn't bother bringing the Revelations Revolution Masterverse figure along because it's basically just a bit of a variation on the Filmation design of Skeletor. It's not like a drastic redesign like all these others here, which I think is more interesting. Here he is with the He-Man from the line. These both scale up about the same height as each other. I've seen reports online that he's actually quite difficult to find in America, like he's selling out. In the UK, he's not really that difficult to find, so have you guys been able to find him? If you haven't, then it's worth waiting until the re-release with the better quality face sculpt and the bluer skin. So thanks for joining me for this quick look at the Master Universe Chronicles movie Skeletor. What do you think of this guy, and where do you rank him with all the other Skeletor designs over the years? Skeletor's just a design that works, like, you can't go wrong with it. I like all of these Skeletors. There's not a single Skeletor design that I don't like. It just looks cool in general. A guy with a skull for a head and blue skin and purple armour just works. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.